Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay are sickos. Let me be clear though. Calling them sickos is the highest compliment I can possibly give them when it comes to people who are just all ball all the time and super freaking smart. So yeah, they're sickos. And you probably remember that the Rams 2 years ago, they won the Super Bowl in LA, beat the Bengals, all that stuff. And then you probably also saw that they didn't have a great year last year. They went 5-12, and largely because they kind of sold a lot of draft capital and they kind of sold out to chase that Super Bowl title, and they ended up getting that Super Bowl title. What you might have forgotten is that Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay are smarter than 99% of the rest of the football world, and that's why I call them sickos. A recent article in The Athletic by Jordan Rodriguez was the inspiration for this video, and there's two that were two of my favorite quotes from that article that you got to hear before I dive into this. The first one: in early summer of 2021, while at a vineyard with their wives, Sean McVay handed Matthew Stafford a set of plays that ended up accounting for 1/4 of his passing yards that Super Bowl season. Second, McVay and Stafford have drawn plays on napkins at restaurants, roughly diagrammed concepts in the air or grass on the field, and sometimes even huddled around a large laundry receptacle in the Rams locker room with Cooper Kupp after practices. So again, these guys don't just like save it for the meeting tomorrow at 1. They like got to get it out of their head and explain it right now and talk about it and get to the bottom of it. And real quick, before we get into these videos, I'm about to show you the QB Summit Tour starts this February, 8 stops around the country. And if you're in middle school or you're in high school or you've got a kid that is, this is the best opportunity to help them take a step in their career. Now, to the tape. All right, example number 1. Now this is week 4 versus the Colts. This is dirty, okay? What I'm going to tell you ahead of time is that someone's going to run an over route and someone's going to run a fade, and then somebody's going to run a wheel outside of that, and then there'll be a running back in the flat. And you're sitting here going like, fade over route? Like, what is cool about that play? I've seen that play a million times. Well, what if I told you that Puka Nacua in the slot down here on the left is the dude that's going to run the over route on the right? Peep this. Short motion, okay? Comes over here, hits it downhill. Look how he loses depth too. As he's getting deeper and further away from the line of scrimmage, that's not an accident. That's so that he can be in a position to hit it full speed running through the C gap to now wrap that over route behind him. By the way, it's also off of a heavy inside zone play action week, and he's able to climb in the pocket, rip this thing to a spot, and here's Puka Nacua getting jiggy. Look at this thing from behind as a defense. What are these guys supposed to do communication-wise? Hey, make sure that the guy on the left doesn't run an over route from the right. I've literally never seen this before. Okay? And we're going to tell that tight end widen out. We're going to have that tackle block down to open up that hole so Puka can hit it. He's got to run by one guy. And here's Stafford manipulating the pocket, putting a seed on his boy's forehead right there in stride. Example number 1. Example number 2, this is using Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's going to catch a ball down here, but look at him. He's right here. Let's see how it works, okay? So he's going to come across in motion. He's going to hit this thing. He's going to widen it. Now, a lot of people run what's called 525F post or short post, where this guy's going to run something out here. He's going to run a quick post. This guy's going to inside release, run a shallow cross. That's very, very common in the NFL. So they know that. So what they've run off of that is actually, no, Cooper's going to widen to get number 1 on defense to widen and run this way. And then he's not going to cross face and go to the back of the end zone. He's just going to basically shut it down right there and hit him. Look at Stafford's throwing this ball. Right now, Matthew's throwing this ball. His left hand just came off the ball, and he's waiting for Cooper to settle. He's not waiting for Cooper to get all the way over here. Otherwise, it would be a different drop. He's right here, and he's banging it right on him. And by the way, if number 1 ends up taking this away and diving down, he's got the back of the corner. And you say, well, what about Puka Nacua down here? What if that corner falls off? No, I think they're just telling Puka Nacua, you get out here and get covered. So you go ahead and cover up this guy. If 1 dives down, then we've got somebody coming over the top, and that'll be a ton of space. But this is just hitting Cooper Kupp right out of it. So what do you call that route? I don't know. I guess whatever they wrote on the napkin that night at dinner is what they call it. But I've never seen that before, and we're only 2 plays into this. All right, lastly, this is week 16 versus the Saints. They run a very sophisticated defense. So anytime you're trying to do something sophisticated against somebody else sophisticated, things can get confusing. A lot of times people want to keep it simple. That's not them. Here's the concept, okay? We're going to have one guy come across the field. We're going to have another guy run with him and then stop, and then we're going to have a shallow cross. And you're like, well, I'll let you look at it here. You're like, okay, what's so cool about this? Okay, we got an over route, right? These 2 guys, like the Rams aren't the only team that have people run this mesh concept, right? So they got the over route, which kind of opens up Higbee right here. But let's put the whole picture together. That's not the only thing that happened. Let me rewind back further. Puka moves, running back moves, and that's after Cooper moves. There are 3 different movement elements pre-snap on this play. Now here's the true beginning of the play. Matt's going to wave Cooper over. That's a shift because he's got to get set now. Okay, now we got a second shift by the back to make it a 3x2. And now Puka is going to widen out to get this defender on his outside shoulder and to tell Matt this is definitely man coverage. This would not be zone coverage with him moving like this. So there's no questions about what coverage this is. And Puka's about to run a shallow cross, and look what leverage he gets. Off and outside, coming across the field. An important 3rd and 5, catch the ball, make a play, 20 of his whatever 1,000 yards that he's had as a rookie. Again, if you're on defense, look at this on defense. Okay, he comes across, all right, gets set. Even Honey Badger, who's played more football than anybody in the NFL, is sitting here going, what the hell are these guys doing, man? Who's coming from where? And everybody's kind of out of position. All this window dressing to be able to throw a 5-yard shallow cross for a 10-yard gain on 3rd and 6. Let's go Rams. When I make that statement about McVay and Stafford, it's not that I heard about this or that I saw him at this thing and they were talking football. It shows up on game tape. They're running plays that I don't see other people running, which means they created them. And in this copycat league, you'll see other people run those plays too, and the credit will go to the boys in blue in LA. I have always said the most important relationship in an NFL building is the relationship between the franchise quarterback and the play caller. I don't believe it's between the GM and the head coach. I don't believe it's between the head coach and the offensive coordinator. I believe it's between the franchise quarterback, if you have one, and the play caller. And in this case, these two dudes, this relationship is on a different level, I think, than most of the other ones around the league. And that's why after a 5-12 follow-up to a Super Bowl, they're as in it as anybody in the NFC.